Mets began their trip to the West Coast last night and feeling swimmingly. They sailed into San Diego and came away with a victory, and they'll hope to keep the good times rolling tonight. At Petco Park in San Diego, Pix 11 Sports presents New York Mets baseball tonight. The Mets play the San Diego Padres. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to San Diego. Gary Cohen, Keith Hernandez with you tonight as the Mets continue their series in San Diego. You know, 2 weeks ago today, the Mets hit their low point for the season, 11 games under 500, 11 games out in the standings. Since then, they've won 8 of 9, and their young catcher, Travis d'Arnaud, has been a huge part of that, and he certainly was last night.
Well, since his recall in 17 games since he's been back, he's hit in 16 of those games at a .318 clip with 3 home runs, 12 RBIs. 2 last night, plus the game winner. Here's his base hits right here. That was the first inning. Got the Mets on the board early. He used the whole entire field. His stroke is much more compact. He's much more confident. There's the game winner right there. I'd love to see that. Fastball on a 3-2 count. Really worked it deep in the count. Got a pitch to hit to win. They really give the Mets the lead. So he's been a big part of the resurgence here.
So the Mets will try and keep that going tonight with Dylan G on the mound. G made his return to action before the All-Star break and looked like he had never left.
Well, 4-1 win over the Braves, and he went 7 strong innings, only 6 hits, 1 run, complete command. I've always loved Dylan. Got the great command of his curveball, his cutter. He's got a 4-seamer, a 2-seamer, and he's got a devastating changeup, and he's got guts. So he just was in complete command, and he has pitched against, this is his first start against the Padres, a 2-1 lifetime.
It was 2 months because of a strained lat muscle. It was like he had never left, and Terry Collins is hoping to get Dylan to 100 pitches tonight. On the other side, the Padres will throw their all-star Tyson Ross, who's gotten virtually no run support, but has really pitched well.
Well, he's 7-10 on the year, ERA below 3 on the All-Star game, on the All-Star team, as Gary said. Second year, they got him from Oakland. He's a big guy, 6'5", 223 pounds, 27 years old. Got a devastating slider.
So Tyson Ross, the all-star from Cal Berkeley, goes up against Dylan G tonight. Mets try and make it 9 wins in their last 10 as they take on the Padres. All the action coming up on Pix 11. Your Tri-Honda dealer. Hurry into your local Tri-Honda dealer for great deals on the 2014 models. By Verizon, introducing Verizon Fios Quantum TV, redefining what TV can be. That's powerful. By Toyota, let's go places. By the New York Lottery, hey, you never know. And by Nissan, choose Nissan today for great offers on their most exciting lineup ever. Shop ChooseNissan.com. Get to Citi Field Saturday, August 2nd for Fireworks Night, presented by Dwayne Reed, following the Mets game against the Giants at 7:10. For tickets, visit Mets.com/fireworks. Keys to the game brought to you by your Tri-State Kia retailers, and our very punny contingent down in the truck has gone to a beach theme today.
That's right, folks. Quite sure of himself. Well, Darno in the open, we talked about him. 318 since his return has been wonderful. Starting to make some waves. Well, yes, they have. You see that right there. It tells the truth. And water, they pay me to read this stuff, folks.
And they pay somebody to write it, too, believe it or not.
So I'm going to leave it up to you. You go ahead. There it is, folks. 2.95 runs per game. That's the Pods. And they are not even treading water. They're sinking.
It's the Mets and the Padres, who may or may not be sinking. We'll try and tread water until we get back from the break. Runs on Duncan.
I knew that.
Dyson Ross making his way in from the bullpen. Ross did not pitch in the All-Star game because he had gone the previous Sunday, wasn't eligible to pitch, but made the trip to Minneapolis. Dylan G's had 10 days since his last start. This is just his second back from 2 months on the sideline, so we'll see how that extra rest affects him. Certainly the 2 months off didn't hurt him at all. Mets starting lineup brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. Exact same starting lineup as last night. That means Kirk Neuenhuis again in left field. How about this, Keith? The Mets are 10-0 this year when Kirk Neuenhuis starts a game.
Well, he's done a terrific job, and we mentioned it yesterday, Gary, when with Lagares back in center field and you got Neuenhuis in left, and you know that Granderson can go get him. And really, the defense is really sparkling out in that outfield.
Neuenhuis made a terrific throw last night to cut down Alexi Almaris to try to stretch a single into a double. Well, let's see. Ross is going to spend a moment reading the scouting report.
It's supposed to be game time, isn't it?
Well, it gives us a couple of moments to make some notes. One very interesting note today. Jordany Valdespin's back in the major leagues. Second base, batting second for the Miami Marlins tonight. Got a base hit his first time up.
Okay.
The Washington Nationals got 5 runs in the first inning, knocked Matt Garza out after he retired just 1 batter.
Okay.
Henderson Alvarez, the Miami starter, got hit on the shin by a hard line drive. He had to come out of the game in the 3rd inning against the Giants.
Tell him about Tulowitzki.
Troy Tulowitzki tonight pulled up lame running out a ground ball. They think it's a quad. So much has happened already just in the last couple of hours.
Well, this is usually what happens when you're on the West Coast. You know, everything happens at 3 hours in advance. And there is Tyson Ross, all 6'5" of him. Long legs. And you can see the All-Star, National League All-Star. He did not pitch in the All-Star game because he made a start the final game, the final Sunday of this first half. But you can see his numbers, doesn't walk people, high strikeouts, nice whip. And any other team with that kind of ERA and those kind of numbers, you could probably flip around that 7 and 10. And we'll take a look at the Geico defense. The Padre defense, brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on your car insurance. Maben in center field gets a start in center. Smith moves over to left field. And Marista made a nice play in the field, showed some nice range up the middle at short. Rivera behind the plate gets the start. Yasmani Grandal at first base. I missed that. It's only his 6th career start at first base, all 6 this season.
Curtis Granderson getting set to get things started. Mets scored 3 runs in the first inning last night. They come into the night with 65 first inning runs this season. That's just 1 behind Milwaukee for the major league lead. Terry Collins has seen a lot of fast starts, and last night was an interesting crucible for the Mets and how things have changed for them. Early in the season, they had a number of games where they'd score early, give up the lead, lose the game. Last night, scored early, gave up the lead, but found a way to win.
And I think we can go back to that first game of the series, the last homestand against the Braves, Gare, when the Granderson, they fell behind 3-2 after a 2-run lead of most of the game, and Granderson tied it up, and they came back and won. And I think that has turned it around for the Mets.
So Granderson will try and get this one started. Had a couple of hits last night, including a leadoff hit in the first inning against Ian Kennedy.
Now, not so extreme a shift as last night for Granderson. They had a triangle defense last time, and they can't move the third baseman Headley because Granderson can bunt.
Ross's first pitch of the night is a fastball away, and we're underway. Granderson, Murphy, and Wright trying to get the Mets off to another fast start. The Mets have faced Tyson Ross only once. That was here last August, and he pitched to Gem. There's a grounder into the shift. Amarista on the right side of the diamond throws out Granderson for the first out of the night. The game that Ross pitched against the Mets last year, really a microcosm of his entire San Diego career, in that he allowed 1 run and 5 hits, no walks, 8 strikeouts in 7 innings, and got a no decision because the Mets rallied late. Marlon Byrd had a big double late in that game to support Zach Wheeler, and the Mets won the game.
Murph took a 0 for 5, a rare 0 for 5 last night, but he had some good at-bats, hit the ball hard.
In fact, that's 2 hitless games in a row now for Murphy, going back to before the All-Star break, and his batting average at .290, it's the lowest it's been since the 2nd of May. David Wright waits on deck. A ball and a strike to Murphy. Starts the night with 113 hits, 4th in the National League.
So we've yet to see the slider of Tyson Ross, who everybody's been raving about that pitch of his. He's a sinker baller, what I've seen so far.
Throws a slider about 40% of the time and gets a lot of swings and misses with it.
Very interesting motion. Doesn't get a lot of drive off of his back foot, a la Tom Seaver. And I will not get contemporary with the motion when you reference to Tom Seaver. We will always stay with Tom for you Met fans.
Drop and drive, but not Mr. Ross. 1-2 coming to Murphy, and there's the slider. 2 balls, 2 strikes. The San Diego outfield playing Murphy like a right-hand pull hitter.
You can see no drive off the mound at all. Absolutely none. No push off. Very upright.
see that outfield defense the other way. Murphy grounds one down to first. Grandal boots it and then makes the backhand flip in time for the out. Well, Keith mentioned Grandal's lack of experience at first base. It showed there, but he was able to recover.
Well, as we said last night, oh, nice play all the way. Nice play by Ross. Good hands. But nice recovery from Grandal. They've got 3 infielders on the DL. There's Murphy. You put your head down, you're upset. You get out in front. God, I should have hit that pitch, and I've been there, done that. I feel your pain, Murph.
So 2 out and nobody on now. David Wright. David 0 for 4 last night. There was a time not too long ago where if Murphy and Wright had offers, the Mets had no chance to win. Last night they both had offers, and the Mets put up 5 runs and 8 hits.
Oh, there's some new guys on the posse here. I just wonder. I know David wouldn't say anything about it, and I'm not making any excuses for him, but I just wonder if his shoulder is bothering him, affecting his hitting. He looks awful stiff on that pitch away.
Now the cortisone shot after Sunday's game, so that he wouldn't have to miss any time, and he takes that sinker just off the plate. 2-1.
That was a good pitch right there. Hal Gibson, jeez.
Gibson, a rookie umpire, working behind the plate tonight.
Oh,
and there's that nasty slider. 2-2.
It's got some late break.
Lucas Duda would be next. 2 out and nobody on. 2-2 coming to right. And David hooks one, and it's caught by Headley. That retires the side. The former Gold Glover robs his former Gold Glove third base counterpart. Nice grab by Headley. Mets are out in order. Dylan G takes them out when we come back. Let's go places. A little shuffle by Bud Black tonight. He puts Alexi Amarista in the leadoff spot, drops Seth Smith down to the 3-hole. Chris Nelson, who made his Padres debut last night, back in there again. Maben and Rivera, newcomers to the lineup tonight against Dylan G, his second start back from the disabled list.
Well, you can see Dylan in his 10th start of the year. Second start since coming off the DL, a very successful one. 2-1 lifetime against the Pods in 3 starts, 1.35 earning.
Amarista leads off at 3 hits last night, and the corners pinch in against him. And the first pitch from G is in for a strike. Amarista, Headley, and Smith for the Padres, who are a run-starved bunch, put up 4 runs last night, which generally gets them a win, but not last night.
That's the first time I've seen Colon upset. He's very, very collected individual. he was mad at himself. They spotted him 4 runs. That should have been a win for him yesterday.
Turns out we found out after the game he was under the weather. He had an upset stomach, a headache. And as Terry Collins said, usually if you get off to a good start and you're not feeling well, you sweat it a little bit and you start feeling better. But that wasn't the case with Colon. It got worse. And G with the changeup strikes out Amarista to start his night. 1 away.
Well, the patent G change. Good sink. And try to expand the strike zone. Head in the count. You got to pitch to waste. Throw that thing right down the middle, knee high, and let it sink outside corner and down on the dirt and see if they'll go fishing.
So 1 out, now Chase Headley, who drove in a couple of runs, went 1 for 4 last night. Takes curveball from G, so Dillon unleashing the repertoire early tonight. Couple of changeups to Amarista. First pitch curveball to Headley. And another one for a strike, and it's 0-2.
You know what? It's just been so fun for me as a former player to sit here and watch the progress of a lot of the players here that have been here. And G is one of them.
Jams Headley, and he bangs one off his foot, a foul ball.
G took his lumps up and down early in his career, and now he's a seasoned veteran. He knows what he's doing. I just love to watch him pitch. I always like to watch a finesse pitcher as opposed to a guy that can just blow it by you.
And there's no question that he has gotten better and better as his career has gone along.
Shouldn't he read the scouting report? Maybe he's looking at, no, the stock market's closed today. It's Saturday.
Well, he's a Berkeley guy, you know, very studious.
He is a Berkeley man.
And that's back-to-back strikeouts for G. Another changeup. This one gets Headley, and G off to a flying start.
It looks like G's coming out with both 6-shooters blazing. He's got it all working early.
That was good. He's a Texas guy. That went perfectly.
That's right.
Thank you. Cleburne, Texas.
Wow. I mean, he's had all pregame to look at the scouting report. But I'm speculating. That's just overkill right there.
2 out and nobody on. Seth Smith takes low and inside. Smith 0 for 4 last night. He had been batting leadoff the last couple of weeks, predominantly for Bud Black, but back in his more familiar number 3 hole tonight. In a lineup that has underperformed all year, Smith has been the one guy who has been a bright spot.
Well, as we said, three major injuries on the infield.
Bounce down to first. That's a fair ball. Smith never left the batter's box, and he's out 3 unassisted. That will hardly keep him in the good graces of his manager. Good hitting year and all. Got to run.
Oh, he knows it.
1-2-3 inning for G. That takes us to the second in San Diego with no score. score. Lucas Duda leads off against Tyson Ross. Duda 1 for 4 last night, a double against his old college teammate Ian Kennedy.
Scored 2 runs, and they got a big shift on Lucas.
And he hits the first pitch right into that shift. Chris Nelson retreating to get it. 1 pitch and 1 out for Ross in the second.
All right, so the 2 left-hand hitters, actually the 3 left-hand hitters that have faced Tyson so far, Ross I should say, have all rolled over to the right side of the infield with his sinker ball. It's interesting, Gary, the left-handers against Ross this year have hit only .208 against him, and he's only given up 4 home runs.
Right-hand hitters hitting .253, so they've had a little bit of chance. Here's d'Arnaud, last night's hero. 3 for 5, couple of RBIs, including the game winner in the 9th.
So much more confidence emanating. You can see it. You can smell it. Not if you're watching on TV.
No smell-o-vision. Want to know to d'Arnaud with Neuenhuis on deck. And he takes a fastball letter high, 1-1. Who's hot? Brought to you by Time Warner Cable. Enjoy better. And undeniably, Mr. d'Arnaud is hot since his return from Las Vegas, hitting .318. d'Arnaud last night had 3 hits with runners in scoring position. It's the first Met to do that in a game this year.
Well, Duda should have scored. It was a poor read on Lucas's part at second base on that little soft line drive.
Ross throws a fastball by him, 2-2.
So Ross running up there, Gary, at 94. He's got that easy motion, no effort, no push off, and all of a sudden, poof, there it is, like Puff the Magic Dragon.
A weak cut by d'Arnaud. Grandal handles this one cleanly, and that's the second out. Well, everything's gone well for Ross this year except for his teammates. I mean, this is how Tyson Ross's season has gone. In June, he made 5 starts. In those 5 starts, the Padres scored a total while he was in the game of 1 run.
Wow.
And he drove in the run. So he's been a complete victim of non-support. Wow. His last 7 starts now, he's 1-5 with a 2.22 ERA. So, I mean, he's got to know that on a given day he's got to throw a shutout to have a chance to win. And that's got to be a very difficult way to proceed. Here's Neuenhuis, 0 for 4 in an RBI last night, and he goes after the first pitch slider, 0-1.
And remember, Ian Kennedy threw nothing but breaking balls to Neuenhuis last night. And what does Ross start him off with? A slider. He had a real tough night last night. Did not look comfortable at the plate.
He cracks this one to deep right center field. Back in the gap goes Maybin, and he makes the catch. Well, the ball just does not travel well there. Neuenhuis hit that ball extremely well, and Maybin able to go back in the gap and make the play. 6 up and 6 down for Ross. No score in the second. Grandal will lead off against Dylan G, who got the side in order on 12 pitches in the first inning. Grandal caught last night, went 0 for 3. He's primarily a catcher, but starting to spend some time at first base with the injury to Yonder Alonso, his buddy from the University of Miami. So Grandal playing first base tonight. Will Venable on deck. Chris Nelson behind him. Padres, the lowest scoring team in the major leagues, averaging under 3 runs per game this season, which is hard to believe, even in this lower scoring age of baseball.
And their .214 team batting average is almost at historic levels.
Since the expansion era began in baseball, 61 in the American League, 62 in the National League, the lowest ever full season batting average in the National League was .219. That was the 1963 Mets.
Of course.
The Padres are 5 points below that right now.
And the last team to be that low was what, the '68 Yankees, and Mickey Mantle's last season. Also the year that the next year they lowered the mound. That was the year of the pitcher. The Yankees that year hit .214.
Hit in the air to deep right center. Granderson back, takes a look, and it's out of here. Yasmani Grandal, it's a bomb of a home run, and the Padres go in front 1-0. Eighth of the year for Grandal, and he hit that a mile. Especially impressive after watching Neuenhuis's ball die heading onto the same part of the ballpark. This one cleared the fence by 30 feet.
Fastball up, outer half. Didn't get it away enough. Got it up, and then he clobbered it. Too much plate. Right on it.
So the first base runner of the night circles the bases. Now Venable pops one up. Tejada with a good angle into foul ground to get it for the first out.
And real quickly, we'll take a look at the Metropolitan defense, brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 50% or more on your car insurance. Lagares, Neuenhuis, and Granderson. This is the best defensive outfield the Mets put out there. And this infield has been solid. They're the big mainstays, and Darno behind the plate.
So 1 out and nobody on. Now here's Chris Nelson, who was called up yesterday. Veteran, former Rocky, played a little for the Yankees last year. Had 2 hits in his first game as a Padre last night. Nelson filling in at second base. Keith mentioned that 3 starting players on the Padre infield are out, but they're all getting a little closer to coming back. Yonder Alonso, their regular first baseman. Jed Jerko, who's been out for a long time, their young second baseman with a foot injury, and their shortstop Everett Cabrera. They've all either begun or are about to begin minor league rehab stints. The problem is that all 3 of those guys are hitting .218 or lower. So it's not as though they're missing big bats who had been having productive seasons. 1-2 from G, and the curveball fouled it off his leg.
Well, not too many guys are hitting over 240 in this ball club. It's just been real difficult. You look at the hitting coach there. That's Phil Plantier. Or Plantier. This is my French. Sorry.
It's lovely French. It's just not his name. Now tomorrow night, the Padres will be throwing the Cuban pitcher.
Yes.
Who has a kind of Spanish, kind of French name, right? Odrisamer Despaigne.
Yes.
So you'll get to practice that all night tomorrow.
It's like spelled like champagne, folks. G is end of his name. A-I-G-N-E.
Despaigne.
Yes.
Who has been terrific since being brought up.
He's another Cuban defector.
There's a good curveball by G, and he strikes out Nelson. And that's the second out of the inning. Third strikeout for G.
They say Despaigne, it's a breaking ball here. Took something. Oh, good curveball. Got him fishing. Despaigne evidently is out of the same mold as Orlando Hernandez, El Duque. He throws from over the top. He'll turn his back on you like Louis Tion. He'll throw sidearm. He's got all kinds of different points of release.
Yeah, that's a guy you want to go to school on. 4 starts deep in his big league career, and he's been terrific. We'll see him tomorrow. Here's Cameron Maybin, the veteran center fielder, and he chops one for Tejada. Easy play for Ruben, and that retires the side, but Padres jump in front on the long home run by Yasmani Grandal, 440 feet. First run of the game brought to you by the New York Lottery. Hey, you never know. Mets come to bat in the 3rd, down 1-0. Across the harbor.
All the urban cities, the urban areas of America have really transformed. It used to be a sleepy little town, San Diego, with old pre-war buildings, and now completely renovated and upgraded.
It's a spectacular city, but for one of the few times we've ever come here, spent an entire day today, and the sun never came out.
Never came out. There was a disturbance from Mexico. It's very humid. It's considered humid today.
That's a nice excuse, but it's supposed to be sunny every day in San Diego. So I'm going to write the Chamber of Commerce a letter. Juan Lagares leads off in the 3rd and takes a strike from Tyson Ross, who's got his run to work with. A rare run for Ross. Last time he started against the Dodgers on Sunday, he gave up 1 run in 7 innings and lost 1-0. Lagares shoots one foul.
I tell you what, that gal down the right field line, the ball girl, one person, whatever you want to call her, she's after everything. She went after that line drive. She is fearless. She made a terrific play last night. And she's not the left-hander, Gary.
Well, did you see what happened? Was it Fenway last night where the ball girl fielded a ball which
was
happened
fair.
to be in play?
It happened to be fair, yes.
Yeah. Great play, but, you know, that fair foul thing, got to pay attention. Now, why does she need the guy next to her? For protection?
It's very dangerous.
He doesn't even have a glove. Strike 3 called. Lagares caught looking on the slider. First strikeout for Tyson Ross.
Slider that just stayed inside, and that was knee high. Didn't break and stayed in.
So 7 up and 7 down for Ross, and now Ruben Tejada, who was on base 3 times last night with a double and 2 walks. Tejada now over the last 43 games has a .404 on base percentage. Ross, though, is setting him up and knocking him down so far. One of the things that characterizes Ross this year is he has the highest swing and miss percentage of any pitcher in the major leagues. Hitters are missing on over 30% of their swings against Ross. Tejada gets a hold of this and hits it down the line and overcomes Venable into foul ground to get it for the second out. So two-way. Torrance swinging and missing, but Ross has gone 8 up and 8 down. And Dylan G will bat. We'd like to say hello to everybody who's camped out at Citi Field tonight.
Oh, that's right.
It's the Citi Field sleepover, and I understand several hundred folks have camped out on the outfield grass.
Yes, I was going to say something, but I won't.
I just hope we can, keep them awake. We don't want to, have them fall asleep too soon.
I want you to know that the Mets, when they fertilize and spray, they do it organically.
It's nice that it's a safe environment. Glad to hear that. There's the sandbox out behind the fence here in San Diego. It's a whole different concept. 1-1 to G. Curtis Granderson would be next. One-two coming to G, and he short hops it. 2-2. Well, Dillon's still looking for his first hit of the year. He's gone 0 for 16. He's a little behind the curve, having missed those couple of months. For a Met pitching staff that's gotten a little better offensively since their historic beginning to the year. Wouldn't chase that one. It's 3-2. First 3-ball count for Ross tonight. Wouldn't you know it? It's against the opposing pitcher. And G is on with a walk, and the Mets have their first base runner of the night.
How often does that happen? You breeze through the order, and the one cakewalk that should be the cakewalk, you walk.
Just a little lapse in concentration, you would suspect. Ross averages about 3 walks per 9 innings. He had a game earlier this season when he walked 7, so every once in a while he'll lose the strike zone.
Well, when they traded for him from Oakland after 2012, he was 2-11 at Oakland with a 6.50 earned run average. Had a horrible year.
Well, the Padres got him for 2 low-level minor leaguers. It was not considered a major trade at all, but he has turned his career around since coming to San Diego. Ross, 27 years old, out of Cal Berkeley. He was a college teammate of Josh Satin at Berkeley. Grew up in Oakland, a huge Oakland A's fan, and the A's drafted him in the second round of 08. Anderson swings over that slider.
Good slider down and in. This is hard to lay off right here.
Granderson has a home run in his career against Ross. 3 for 8. But Ross ahead 0-2. Goes away. Ball and 2 strikes. Daniel Murphy would be next. G at first. Grandal's playing behind him to give himself a little extra fielding depth. The left-hand hitter up. Granderson yanks that one off the Padre dugout.
That is, he keeps that slider like that. That's not much you can do with that. It's hard to lay off. There you see his. He's 6'6". I said he was 6'5".
Maybe he's grown.
So he's got the sinker to go with the hard slider against the left-handers. So he's got a couple pitches. That's a good pitch right there, up and in. It's a good little four-seamer. So he can work both sides of the plate. The sinker down and away. Occasional fastball up and in to keep you honest, and then the hard slider in. That's why left-handers, I can see right now, are having a hard time with him this season.
2-2 to Granderson. at his feet and a full count. So back-to-back full counts for Ross after breezing through his first 8 batters. Now G will be running.
Beautiful crowd here tonight. I should say our afternoon. We're still in the afternoon.
It's 6:15 local. Is that afternoon or evening?
Twilight, dusk.
Summertime. Still plenty of daylight. Drilled to right center. Over comes Venable to pick it off. And that retires the side. Anderson hit it hard. But Ross survives the third with a 1-0 lead. Favorite mobile phone or tablet, get live look-ins, instant replays, scores, stats, audio, free MLB.tv game of the day, and more. Download on the App Store or visit Mets.com today. Bill and G back to the mound for the bottom of the third. Mets down 1-0 thanks to a Yasmani Grandal home run, estimated at 440 feet, which they say is the longest home run at Petco Park this season. Padres, for all their other ills, are not last in the National League in home runs. They are second to last.
You're right.
St. Louis Cardinals have hit fewer home runs than the Padres.
Cardinals have 60 home runs to 65, or now 66 for the Pods.
Cardinals got a big one today from Matt Adams. Beat the Dodgers 4-2. So they've taken the first 2 of that series. Rene Rivera leads off and bangs one through the hole for a base hit. So Rivera, who had a huge hit against the Mets in New York, a home run off Bartolo Colon that helped the Padres win a game, leads off the third inning with a leadoff single.
First pitch fastball hitting, not wasting any time.
So the second San Diego hit, and now Ross will go up there to bunt. Ross has 5 hits and 2 sacrifices this year.
Defense there, right, very much in, aggressively in. And I must say, if you're up on the Padres pitching staff, it's incumbent upon that entire staff to be professional bunters, because runs are hard to come by. You have got to help yourself.
G falls behind on Ross 2-0.
Beautiful setting.
Well, Saturday nights are huge baseball nights in San Diego. It's been that way for a long time. They have always had big promotions on Saturday night. They used to put 60,000 people in the ballpark when they were out at Jack Murphy Qualcomm Stadium out in the Valley.
Well, Jack Murphy was a beautiful stadium before they enclosed it to make it for NFL so they could have a Super Bowl there.
Right.
It was a beautiful setting there too, with the mountains in the background over in center field.
Ross with the butcher boy, and he fouls it off.
He's got a bunt here early in the game. What's he thinking? I like the idea what they have up over to the right side of center field. That little lawn up there, like a knoll, where the people can just to the right of the backdrop.
Yep.
It's just a really great idea. It's almost like the berm in St. Lucie.
Right, they call that the park in the park. Ross gets the bunt down with 2 strikes. Right goes for the force and gets him.
That slide.
Very close play. We'll see whether Bud Black comes out. But they cut down Rivera for the first out.
Well, it's a bad slide by Rivera. He does not stiffen out one of his legs. I believe both legs were bent. We'll take a peek. They're having a look right now. Wright makes the quick play. It's just a terrible slide. He would have been safe. Watch his lead leg up in the air. That is a terrible slide.
He's out.
He would have been safe if you get the stiff leg there. He's safe.
So it's a 5-6 fielder's choice. Ross now at first with 1 out for Amarista. David seemed to wait a beat before making that throw, but made it accurately, and with Rivera not getting that foot down, got the out. What would have been interesting is, had they not gotten the out at second, would they have had a chance to get Ross at first? I think he was running hard, but I'm not sure.
Oh boy, you used to get the sliding pants on in the minor leagues, and you would slide in the outfield grass.
Amarista lifts one foul.
That was all part of the drills. I mean, I was already a very skilled slider. You know, I didn't need it, but a lot of guys did. You had the sliding pants, Gare, and that was, you'd go out. Look at this. There's no stiff leg. He's safe if he gets a stiff leg there. Oh, I'm not going to beat a dead horse.
Toward the hole, and Amarista's got a base hit.
Well, there's a run right there.
So Amarista, who had 3 hits last night, gets a base hit on an 0-2 pitch. And now the Padres have 2 men on with Chase Headley coming up.
Well, Amarista, you got to start pitching him in, and I've seen him enough now. Yesterday he had a couple of hits, 3 hits, excuse me, and he likes to go the other way. The little guy, little spray hitter. You got to pound those little 9-iron hitters. You got to pound them in.
So a big batter here for G as he faces Headley with 2 men on. Struck him out his first time up with a changeup, and he goes to the fastball away for ball 1. Headley with 31 RBIs to lead the Padres. 2 of those came last night. Far cry from his 115 runs batted in 2 years ago, which led the National League. And Dillon falls behind 2-0. Ross is at second. Amarista at first with 1 out. So G has found a rough patch. And you got Seth Smith on deck.
When Ross, the pitcher, was up bunting, he was 2-0, and he bunted at a ball 3, which gave G a break. So G's kind of what happened to Cologne last night.
And there's a high strike, which might have been a little low, but Al Gibson gave G a little break.
Wow. That's knee high to a grasshopper right there, Garrett. That ball's low. Sorry.
No matter how good Darno is at snatching those low pitches and framing them, that's a hard one. But Headley Lines one into left center for a hit. Ross being waved home. The throw's going to third, but nobody was expecting it. It goes in the dugout, and 2 runs will score. Neuenhuis unleashed a throw for third base, but there was nobody there. Tejada was trying to retreat to the bag. Wright had set himself up as the cutoff. And so instead of 1 run scoring, 2 come home, and it's 3-0.
Well, it's definitely throwing to the wrong base here. Now, you don't know as a cutoff man where Neuenhuis is going to throw the ball. Now, Neuenhuis has got to know he's got to go to his left. He hasn't got a shot to throw anybody out at home plate. Now, Bud Black is going to come up and have a chat.
He's going to say that Headley should be awarded third, which I think he might have a case for. We'll see. It's a single for Headley, 1 RBI. The second run scores on the air. And the question is, where does Headley get placed? Does he get placed at second, or does he get placed at third?
Well, the pitcher's on second base. Really shouldn't have froze, but that's a pitcher we'll forgive. But he runs well, too. Now, the back runner, really, that's Amarista, kind of ill-advised going to third, even though he made something happen.
Now the question is, where was Headley when the ball went in the dugout? Was he at second, or was he still on his way to second? And that's what the question is for the umpires. It's pretty close when you look at that replay. But they are not changing their minds. They're leaving him at second base. Because if he had gotten to second before the ball went in the dugout, he'd be awarded third. In any event, 3 runs for the Padres on 4 hits against Dylan G. And now Seth Smith takes a curveball at his feet for ball 1. So the Padres, who put up a 4-run inning against Bartolo Colon last night, have 2 runs home in the third tonight. And this is a team that has such trouble scoring runs. In fact, the 4-run inning that the Padres had last night was only the 9th time all year they had scored that many runs in an inning, the fewest of any team in the majors.
That is the second hit that Headley has had of driving a line drive over the shortstop's head. He did one last night that RBI's in it.
One and one to Smith, who grounded out to Duda his first time up. He comes inside, 2-1. On deck, Yasmani Grandal with the long home run that brought the first Padre run in. Headley at second and 1 out. And there's the good changeup, 2-2.
Dillon's a little bit up. So sharp in the first inning, Gare, and the first 2 innings actually made one mistake up for the home run to Grandal. That happens. But this inning, he's been up.
Well, Dylan G has been such a model of consistency going back to the end of May last year, when he pitched that gem at Yankee Stadium and turned his season around. He finished off last year incredibly strong, and then more of the same this season, only interrupted by that lat injury. If you go back to the 30th of May last year, Dylan has a 2.67 ERA. And that's where he ranks since that date. 2-2. And that one at the feet of Smith at a full count. He hasn't walked a batter. He struck out 3. This will be the 8th pitch of the at bat coming to Seth Smith. And Another changeup, and he just got a piece of it to stay alive.
He got a piece because it's up, and when it's up, Dillon has the sink. Watch it run flat. So you lose. You got don't get you got a little bit of sink, but not enough. When you get it down, you get a lot more sink.
Again, the 3-2. Fastball fouled away. And Smith making G work awfully hard.
And G's got his blood up, too. He's throwing that fastball. He's rearing back and firing it. He's putting some extra mustard on it here. And the four-seamer, the straight one. But again, up.
This will be the 10th pitch of the at-bat to Seth Smith. And he pops one up into left. Neuenhuis is there to grab it for the second out, and Headley will return to second. So G wins that small battle by retiring the Padres #3 hitter. Dan Warthen is coming out to the mound, and I'm certain they'll be talking about just Grandal.
Well, I also think that he's going to tell him, hey, you're up with your pitches. You're overthrowing. I know you're in trouble here. Things aren't going your way this inning. Get back into your groove. You're not you're not an over-the-top hard thrower. You're a control pitcher. Just think. Slow it down.
Today's Verizon high-speed pitch brought to you by Verizon Fios Quantum TV. That's powerful. Dyson Ross topping out at 95 miles an hour. Dylan G at 91. So here is Grandal, who hit the 440-foot bomb to right center. His 8th home run of the year. Headley at second and 2 out. G's already thrown 24 pitches in this inning. And number 25 is hit weakly to short. Tejada's there to make the play on Grandal to end the inning, but the Padres score a couple. One earned, one not. 3-0 Padres after 3.
Tony,
great Tony Gwynn.
Yes. So they're having a little chat about the throw to third. Tough play for David as the cutoff man to get to third, not knowing he got to hang there. If anything, the shortstop's got to get there, but that's a well, it's good that they're communicating. I like that. Something we haven't seen, and it looks like the team is bonded.
By the way, both the runs in that inning, they say, are earned runs, figuring that the fly ball that Smith hit would have brought the run in, even without the error. So 3 earned runs against G's ledger tonight. The Mets with a big uphill climb now against the Padres all-star starter Tyson Ross. Mets have had just one base runner through the first 3 innings. That was a walk to G in the 3rd. Ball and a strike to Murphy, who grounded out to first base his first time up. Murphy right and due to try to bring the Mets back in the 4th.
Gary, you made a good point earlier about the stadium here. There is not an out-of-town scoreboard here. They kind of just flash up individual scores.
Would you like me to bring you up to date?
That would be nice.
Jimmy Rollins hit a 2-run homer in the 7th to break up a scoreless game. As Murphy rolls out to Nelson for the first down. So the Phillies are up 2-1 on the Braves as they go to the 8th. Braves a game in front of Washington starting the night, and Washington is up 8-1 on Milwaukee in the 7th. They knocked Matt Garza out with a 5-run first. Some of the action out at the park in the park. Outside the stadium. Inside, the big boys are playing. And David Wright will bat.
All the hopefuls are playing outside.
Well, he looks like a hopeful. And he's inside watching, learning. Wright lined out to Headley his first time up. Slider off the end of the bat, 1-1. Got the sandbox.
Only in California. What a great idea. We've got to watch out for the home runs on incoming.
I gotta say, as long as the fence is high enough to protect the kid.
Yes.
Lucas Duda waits on deck. Even though the Mets faced Tyson Ross last year and he pitched a great game against them, there are only 3 Mets in the lineup tonight who have faced Ross. David Wright wasn't in the lineup. He was out with a hamstring injury when the Mets were here in August last year. Lucas Duda wasn't in the lineup. He wasn't an everyday player. So only Granderson, Murphy, and Lagares have ever faced Ross before tonight. And Ross has had them completely befuddled so far. Two coming to right. And the fastball misses up and away, full count. So that's 3 of the last 4 batters now that Ross has gone to a full count.
Pretty much staying away from David.
And he goes down swinging on the slider. Second strikeout for Tyson Ross.
We went after a bad one here. Not a good swing, but flying out.
Well, we talked about Ross's swing and miss rate. There's a classic example. So 2 out and nobody on. Now Duda, who grounded out to second base his first time up. Swung at the first pitch he saw and grounded into the shift. Takes a knee-high strike.
And you see the triangle pull defense on the infield to the right side. And as we see so frequently, the center fielder playing the opposite. Playing Duda a little bit to left center field.
Ross ahead 0-2.
It's a whole different feel here, folks. This team has not played well, and it's not like New York here. They just like to come to the ballpark. It's like winning is not important to the fans. They'd like them to win, but they're not avid. That is an understatement.
Judah down to the high fastball. Back-to-back strikeouts for Ross to finish the fourth. Mets still looking for their first hit. Well, there's a hit. Does that count?
The major league debut of Tony Gwynn in a Padre uniform, and talking about him on the broadcast last night, and obviously remembering him as we are here in San Diego. Clearly what he was to baseball in this town. But I set out to ask some of the current Padres their relationship with him. And you look at Will Venable, who's leading off right now for San Diego, Chase Setley. Those two guys have been here for a little while, and both played with Tony Gwynn's son, Tony Gwynn Jr., for a couple of years when he was here playing for the Padres. And you know, if anyone would understand the father-son relationship in baseball, certainly it's Will Venable. His father Max played for 12 years in the league. And you know, Will said, you know, I think one thing is this one is a shot to right, and that is gone.
Hits his third home run of the year, and the Padres have their second home run of the night and a 4-0 lead.
Both left-handers. Another fastball up. Belt high. So Dillon's got to get his sights downstairs. That was a rocket.
Chris Nelson takes a strike. Go ahead, Kev.
One more look at the swing. As you can see, it's belt high, full extension.
Go ahead, Kevin.
Did we lose, Kev?
I don't know.
Hey, guys.
There you are.
Sorry, I wasn't hearing you there. I don't know what was happening.
Strike three call as Nelson is out. Go ahead, Kev.
What I was trying to talk about was I was talking about Venable. Of course, his dad played, and Tony Gwynn Jr., who played with Venable and Headley. And Venable said, you know, I knew Tony Sr. a little bit. I would go down to San Diego State and hit with Tony Jr., and every once in a while, Tony Sr. would come over and just give you gold. I mean, just gold nuggets. But when he was here, he would really stay out of the clubhouse. Said he kind of let that to the coaches that were here. But one thing I saw is their relationship. Tony Sr. never put any pressure on Tony Jr. He let him be him. I saw it. He was a great dad. Chase Edley said, yeah, same thing. He would come in here and really leave the hitting to the coaches. He had so much respect for the coaching staff. He said, but I knew Tony Sr. again through his son. He said, Tony Jr. had the same personality, the same laugh, the same smile, and you could see their relationship. But through him, I felt like I knew his dad pretty well. Guys?
Well, There you go. It's a difficult thing for a father to cut the apron string, so to speak, when you have a son that's following in your footsteps, or that you have a father that's living vicariously through you. Always comes to mind for me is Chris Everett's father. I remember reading an article about Chris Everett, and for you kids, strike three right there called. Chris Everett was a great tennis player, a women's tennis player, champion, and her dad taught her how to play tennis when she was a little girl on up. But when it came to a certain time, he got her a tennis instructor, and he let go of her completely, Gary, and let the coaches take over, and he just enjoyed her play. And that's a difficult thing to do for a parent.
Well, especially if you're a guy who is at the top of his profession and your son is a good player, but he's never going to equal what you've done, and you want so badly for him to not only follow in your footsteps, but have as much success as you did, and that's got to be very hard both for father and son.
There's only one father-son that I can think of that the son was better than the father, and that was a great player, was the Barry Bonds.
Right.
I mean, Bobby Bonds was a heck of a player, an all-star for the Giants, an outfielder, bounced around, and also Ken Griffey Jr. Absolutely. I remember when Ken Griffey was with the Big Red Machine back in the 70s, and Ken Griffey was out in the outfield shagging as a little kid, as a boy.
Two and two to Rene Rivera, who had a base hit his first time up. Dylan G's night is not going as planned. 2 home runs against Dylan tonight. And, you've noted, Keith, that everything is up, and I wonder how much of that has to do with the fact that it's been 10 days since he last pitched.
He's probably feeling strong.
This is something we run into from time to time. I remember John Maine had trouble with it. That first start after the All-Star break, when a pitcher's had that extra rest, you don't know necessarily how much work to do during the break, how many bullpen sessions. It's an unnatural transition, and some pitchers handle it better than others.
Well, there was always back in the day when there was not the pitch counts. You always, if you had to juggle a rotation, you were more inclined to move up a sinker ball pitcher with less rest, because he'd get more sink because he didn't have the arm strength.
Right. Strike 3 called, so 3 straight called third strikes for G after giving up the leadoff home run to Venable. Through 4 innings now, it's 4-0 San Diego. Greatest Padre of them all. luxury cars that deliver inspired performance. We go to the 5th inning in San Diego. Mets now down 4-0. Travis d'Arnaud will lead off against Tyson Ross, who's yet to allow a hit through the first 4 innings. Mets have had just 1 base runner, and that was Dylan G, who drew a walk with 2 out in the 3rd. It'll be d'Arnaud, Neuenhuis, and Lagares for the Mets in the 5th. d'Arnaud grounded out to first base his first time up after his 3-hit night last night. That first pitch slider in for a strike. We talked about G and the extra rest he had coming into this start. Ross, on the other hand, he pitched Sunday, so he's only had 1 extra day of rest. As Bud Black really doubled up on his best pitchers. He had Ian Kennedy pitched last night on just 1 extra day of rest, and the same for Ross today.
And Ian Kennedy did not have it yesterday. It was command issues.
So, on the other hand, the starter for the Padres tomorrow, Despaigne, he'll be going on extra rest with everybody else in their rotation pushed back.
Well, that all goes, hand in hand, Gary, with what I said. Always coming out of the All-Star break. It was 4 days rest now. In our day, it was 3, but always felt out of sync the first couple games. I like what I see there from d'Arnaud with 2 strikes. There's so much of a lack of good 2-strike hitters in today's game. Thus the elevation of the strikeout totals throughout baseball. But d'Arnaud going the other way with 2 strikes. You've got to bear down.
1-2, and he reaches for that one and fouls it off.
And you can't guess. I mean, unless you got a pitcher that just throws 90% breaking ball. But you got 2 strikes on you. You got to battle and go up the middle. It's an advantage pitcher when you're behind the count with 2 strikes.
d'Arnaud bounces that one slowly right to the bag and hits the cushion. It's a base hit for Travis d'Arnaud.
Boy, oh boy.
And that's how the Mets get their first hit of the night.
That is poorly played by Headley here. You cannot assume the ball's going foul. Unless he felt he had no shot to throw out d'Arnaud, you got to charge that ball, don't you?
Totally agree. I was confused at the way he approached this ball because it was fair all the way. It was almost as though he was caught in between and was hoping it would go foul. But if he charges that ball with d'Arnaud running,
he might have got a chance to get him.
So that's the first hit for the Mets. A cushion shot for d'Arnaud. And now Neuenhuis the batter. And Kirk bluffing at a bunt with Headley playing back. So we'll see if that gets the Mets going on a night when they've been dominated so far by Tyson Ross. While Lagares waits on deck. Neuenhuis hit one well to right center that Maben ran down.
Good eye right there from Neuenhuis, who was really flailing at breaking balls last night. You don't swing at this pitch, now guess what? It's 2-0. Now it's your pitch to hit.
d'Arnaud at first and nobody out. Now, d'Arnaud is not a base stealer. He's got 1 this year. But Tyson Ross has given up more stolen bases than any pitcher in the major leagues this year. Now, you're down by 4 runs in the 5th inning. But it was certainly in the Mets game plan tonight, if they got some base runners against Ross, that they'd be running at virtually every opportunity. Maybe not now. And now it's 3-0 to Neuenhuis. 23 stolen bases. That's the most in the majors. Garrett Cole of the Pirates is second with 20.
The days of Lou Brock and Ricky Henderson, I think, are over. Even Jose Reyes early in his career. Well, we've seen right now from the rookie umpire Hal Gibson, he calls that low strike.
He gave one to G earlier, and now he gives one to Ross.
That could have been ball 4 right there.
3-1 coming. And Nieuwenhuis cracks another one. This one to right, and Venable is right there to play it. So Nieuwenhuis is at 2 balls hard tonight with nothing to show for it.
Nieuwenhuis with that open stance. He's got a lot of plate, that slider, not a lot of break. He's got that kind of hockey swing, doesn't he? Worked for Richie Hebner, your favorite.
Chase Utley got a little bit of that. Here's Juan Lagares, struck out looking his first time up. Slider eludes his bat.
This is a kind of pitcher that would give Lagares some trouble. That can have that little tight slider that can expand the strike zone. By expanding the strike zone, I mean throw it or starts out over the plate a little bit and breaks bad outside.
Short hop by Rivera to keep d'Arnaud at first.
Well, I've seen from Ross thus far, and here we are in the 5th inning. We are the second time through the order against the right-hand hitters. He does not like to pitch righties inside. He stays predominantly away, and those are the things you got to watch from the dugout. If you're a right-hand hitter, how's he pitching the right-handers? Good slider. He loves that outside corner. You follow me though, Garrett? You got to pay attention on the bench. You got to pay attention.
Now there was Lagares being disciplined, laying off what he thought was a bad slider, but that one caught a piece of the plate. Carlos Torres up in the Mets bullpen. 1-2. Fastball off the plate. It's 2-2. Ready to pinch it if that spot comes up.
I think it's the right call. G doesn't have it today. Just not on top of his game. Got to get back in the ball game.
And now Lagares works a full count. And G's ready to go back out there if the Mets don't get to his spot in the order. But I agree with you. You have to pinch hit if it does. d'Arnaud at first and 1 out. 3-2 coming to Lagares. Not running. And it's a ground ball to short. Should be 2. Now Marista with the step and throw for the 6-6-3 double play. And that'll do it for the Mets in the top of the 5th.
Halfway through in San Diego. 4-0 Padres.
One more game here in San Diego tomorrow afternoon on SNY. Then we're off to Seattle for 3 and Milwaukee for 4. The Mets will miss Felix Hernandez in Seattle. He's pitching tonight in a marquee matchup in Anaheim against Garrett Richards. They're scoreless in the fourth, and they better both go the distance, because last night they played 16 innings.
Yes, they did.
Both teams used their whole bullpen before the Angels pulled it out in the bottom of the 16th.
So
5 hours and 14 minutes worth.
If Houston Street would have gotten his automobile,
He might have made it.
he would have gotten it in time.
Well, he'll be there tonight. He'll be the freshest arm on either side. But the way that King Felix and Garrett Richards have both been pitching, likelihood is that neither one will need any relief.
What is it, around an hour and a half, hour 45 to Anaheim from here?
You're asking your Southern California expert
Yes,
out there,
Ben.
Dennis D'Agostino?
I'm getting mixed signals here. Hour and a half? Hour and a half.
Depends on the traffic. You know, this is Southern California. Ross trying to push a bunt. Ross bunted into a force play, trying to sacrifice his first time up.
So Anaheim is in Orange County, which is southern LA, and you would fly into John Wayne Airport, not LAX, if you lived down in Newport Beach.
Strike three called.
Another called third
That's
strike.
4 consecutive batters for the Padres have been called out on strikes. 7 strikeouts for G tonight. Be sure to tune in next Friday when the Mets take on the Brewers. That's Mets Brewers Friday, 8 o'clock, right here on New York Zone Pix 11, which is why we're showing you a promo for the morning news.
And I'll finally be back for that game. That's a very weird schedule in this trip for Ronnie and I.
Will you be back for the morning news at 5 o'clock?
Ronnie has this has never happened. Ronnie has the series in Seattle, folks. I have the 3 days off here. And then most peculiar is Ronnie has the first game of the 4-game set in Milwaukee. I pick up the team. Ronnie leaves, and I pick up on Friday. So I have 4 days off here on the West Coast.
Murphy throws at Amarista. Now, do you find that to be a personal hardship?
No. I just wonder if Kurt fell down, hit his head or something when he made the schedule. I didn't know what I was going to do. My brother's not in San Francisco, so I can't shoot up there. So I just decided to go. I've not been to the new Las Vegas, so I'm going to fly Monday to Las Vegas and spend 3 days there. And
I'm sorry, the new Las Vegas? Have they built a new one I was not aware of?
I have not been to the new Strip. I haven't been to Las Vegas in over 30 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, so you've missed a lot.
So I might as well go there, see a couple shows.
Headley hits one down the line, and that'll go foul.
It'd be kind of silly for me to fly all the way from San Diego back to New York and then have to get in an airplane and go to Milwaukee. It's kind of silly, isn't it?
You could do it. It's been done before, but I like your plan better.
Now, if I had someone like Lynn, your wife, at home, I would fly home. But unfortunately, I don't.
Well, you've got your cat.
The cat could wait.
1-2 to Headley, and he bites one off. So it sounds like a good plan.
Yeah, it's halfway. It gets me kind of on the way to Milwaukee, and
I just want. So when are you going to come to Milwaukee?
Thursday.
Thursday. He'll be there in time to see the game Thursday.
I get in at 4:30.
Headley is out on strikes. That's 8 strikeouts for G in the first 5 innings. That's been the highlight of his night. On the downside, he trails 4-0 after 5. night is done after 5 innings, 80 pitches.
And I'm sorry, Garrett, always brings to mind right here, you see Carlos Torres up for the Mets, the workhorse out of that pen. Carlos was leading Major League Baseball in innings pitched into the All-Star break for relievers, and there's Dylan's line.
I mean, the tough part for G is he's probably got plenty left in the tank, and he's pitching better now than he was earlier in the game. But the Mets need to get some runs, and so they'll pinch hit.
Well, you know what? It always brings to mind, if you have the DH, Dylan stays in the game.
Yeah, but who wants that?
Exactly. I understand. I'm afraid we're going to get it here.
Don't say that. I like my plan better. Ruben Tejada leading off, takes ball 1.
I'm an ally.
Eric Young on deck to pinch hit for G. And then Granderson behind him. Mets have had only 1 hit, an infield single by Travis d'Arnaud in the 5th.
There's a rare fastball inside corner. And to all people, Tejada.
Maybe Ross heard you. He sits there in the dugout and reads that piece of paper between innings. Maybe he's getting a transcript of your comments. Needs to pitch more inside. There you go. 1-2 to Tejada. Bouncer toward the middle. Amarista with another nice pickup, and the double clutch still gets him by a half a stride for the first down.
Well, Amarista has really shown some nice range to his left in the first 2 games of this series. That's just a sparkling play. Nice throw, strong throw on the run. Got him.
So 1 out. And now Eric Young will bat for Dylan G.
Everything's a little too hard to work. I need something I can get right to.
Well, since the return of Lagares and the fact that Neuenhuis has been kind of swinging a hot bat, Eric Young has been kind of relegated to the bench.
For a while he was getting some starts batting 9th, so that he provided a double leadoff hitter in front of Granderson. We'll see how the left field time is allocated over the coming days. Neuenhuis getting the first 2 starts out of the break. 1-1 to EY. Young is 2 for 10 as a pinch hitter this year. And he lays off 2-1. Curtis Granderson waits to hit next. And that's too high, 3-1. So for Dylan G, 5 innings, his shortest start of the season. And the goal had been to get G to 100 pitches because he's still building back from that lat injury through 85 in his first start back. But not able to get there tonight. And there's ball 4, and Eric Young is on with a walk. So let me ask you this, Keith. Special situation here, right? Mets are down by 4 runs in the 6th inning. Normally you wouldn't think about stealing a base, but here you got this guy who is totally vulnerable to the steal, and you have your best base stealer on. Do you run?
Well, take a look at the infield defense. What now with the runner on first prevents. We've had the big shift on Granderson, who's a dead pull hitter. I would hold him, Garrett, and keep that hole open between first and second. Then you have an automatic first and third situation. You're taking away that shift. There he goes, though.
First pitch.
They're going to get him.
And the throw by Rivera right on the money, and they get him. So there you go. Mets knew coming into the game they were going to run at every opportunity, but the Padres knew that too. And was that a designed pitch out or just a pitch that was outside?
I think it was a pitch outside and a perfect pitch to throw on. And he's clearly out. And I just think you hold there. He's set up outside. It's a sinker.
It was the perfect confluence of events for Rivera.
Nice term. Confluence. I like that.
Well, I mean, if it wasn't a designed pitch out, then it just worked perfectly for him to to be able to get that throwaway and nail a good base steal.
I think you're down 4 runs, Gary, in the 6th. You don't steal. You got a left-hand dead pull hitter up with your big bats coming up behind. But Granderson's obviously one of them. And now look at the infield now, how they're playing as compared to. Well, it didn't matter.
Gets it through the hole anyway, even through the shift. But instead of having 2 men on, Mets have a runner at first with 2 out.
Now remember the defense when the runner was on base, and now they got more. They got the shortstop over on the other side of second base, even though it was through. They're able to have more of the shift. And you know what? You just kind of run yourself out of an inning. There it's first and third. You're in business with 1 out with Murph, your best hitter, coming up.
So 2 out and a runner on first, and here's Murphy, 0 for 2 tonight, 0 for his last 12. And he hits one right back to Ross. Easy play, sign retired. So Ross has hung up 6 scoreless innings. Carlos Torres will be coming on in relief. 4-0 San Diego. There's a barbecue place outside the ballpark.
Phil's.
Okay. Well, what does that have to do with the ballpark?
It's all part of the ambiance.
Some good eats. Now there's the Western Metal Supply Company warehouse.
Down the left field line, there it is.
Which dates from 1909, which they left in place and built the ballpark around with the corner of the building. Yep. Designating the left field foul pole. That's one of the great unique properties of this ballpark. Carlos Torres on in relief for the Mets as we go to the bottom of the 6th.
Well, as we said, Torres led all major league relievers in innings pitched at 59 1/3, and a lot of that was in May when they wore him out of that one stretch. But now, when Daisuke went in the bullpen and he's back there now, able to spell him, and he's been very effective. I like him. He wants the ball, and he will go out there and give you innings.
Seth Smith leading off the home 6th is 0 for 2 tonight. Grounded out and flied out against Dylan G. G went 5, allowed 4 runs, 5 hits, no walks, 8 strikeouts, but 2 home runs. Solo shots to Grandal and Venable. Grandal on deck, Venable behind him. So Dylan can only sit and watch. This one slugged to deep right. Granderson back near the wall. It's out of here.
Wow. The Padres' 3rd home run of the night. Seth Smith hits his 11th. And it's 5-0 San Diego.
Who said this club can't score runs?
Well, 4 runs last night weren't enough, so they put up 5 tonight.
Hanging slider, belt high, middle, and flat.
So now it's Grandal who hit the first of the 3 home runs.
And we'll take a look at the swing from the side. It's much like Venable's home run. A little bit lower. Beautiful swing he put on that ball.
Third time this year the Padres have hit 3 home runs in a game. They've not hit more than that in a game this season. Grandal goes after the pitch away, and it's 1-2. So San Diego having a productive night. And the curveball misses. 2-2 to Grandal.
Well, you know, Gary, you look at their schedule and what they've done in the first half of the season. They're a team that had 1 5-game winning streak, 1 4-game winning streak, but they've had 3 4-game losing streaks and 1 5. So they haven't had a team that's lost 10 and 11 in a row.
Well, it's because their pitching's been so
correct.
Good. As Grandal strikes out, or does he? No, he got a piece of that. Venable on deck. Last one got a piece of Darno, I think, and he's taking a moment. So when you have pitching like the Padres have, you're going to stick around most nights, and especially if you're a good studier like Tyson Ross. He must have been great at homework.
I don't understand. So those, I understand, are affirmations he's reading. So it's like from Kelly's Heroes, you know, Oddball with Donald Sutherland's character when he talked to Moriarty. Cut with the negative waves. It's all positive waves.
Sharply hit, and Grandal's got his second hit of the night. So Torres has faced 2 batters, given up 2 bullets. That home run by Smith, by the way, snapped a string of 14 1/3 consecutive scoreless innings for the Mets bullpen, which threw up 4 zeros last night, but Torres getting hit hard. Well, what's great about, if that's what those are affirmations for Tyson Ross, it's great that he's doing it between innings.
Well, of course.
Well,
tell me.
Steve Traxel would have to do the same kind of thing mentally before every pitch. That's why he worked so slowly. He'd stare down at his shoes, visualize something good happening.
Well, good. I'm glad, because we'd be in the 3rd inning.
Well, this is better time management.
Yes.
Use your time on the mound to pitch, and use your time in the dugout to get positive vibes.
It's always good, positive thinking. If you go out there and you think that you can't do it, guess what? You're probably not.
It's a game for positive thinkers. There's so much failure involved.
Everything in life is positive thinking, Gary. I firmly believe that.
Well, fear of failure works really well too.
Yes, that's true. It's not. I don't recommend it.
But it's a great motivator. Chris Nelson waits on deck. 2-1 to Venable, and he fouls one and twists himself into the ground in so doing. Venable homered his last time up.
There's almost the same pitch that Smith hit out of the ballpark. Same kind of swing. I don't understand what happened to Venable. He just fell off a cliff. He's got a decent swing.
Well, last year, Venable hit 22 home runs. This was his 3rd of this season. Of course, there have been a lot of hitters in the major leagues see large drop-offs in home run totals this year. It's been a pitcher's year.
It certainly has.
Just 2 years ago, the average major league game featured 2.03 home runs per game. As Venable hits this one out to left, and Neuenhuis is there. And that's the first out of the inning. This year it's down to 1.77. So from 2.03 to 1.77 in just 2 years, that's what, about a 13-14% drop off? Do the math.
No, say that again, Gary. What's the drop off? What stat are you talking about?
Home runs per major league game.
Okay.
They've gone from 2.03 to 1.77. That's a 13% drop off in the last 2 years.
Same players.
That's huge.
Same players.
There are the numbers for the last 5 years. But just the last 2 years, I think that's significant as the penalties and the repercussions of the Major League Testing program have become more severe.
Well, I applaud the Players Association, which are the players, and their decision to really increase the penalties this year. From one time you're out half a season, 81 games, you not only hurt yourself significantly financially, but you hurt your team. Hopefully that's in the forefront of everybody's thinking. Second offender, you're out for a season. That's serious. That's an entire year. Third time, adios amigo.
Tejada gets the force, and that's all they'll get. Ball hit much too slowly to turn two. So Nelson's aboard with 2 out. So it's changed the game, and I think that what's interesting is watching the offensive approach try and catch up to the reality.
And I think general managers are a little behind. They're becoming aware of it. And maybe we'll get back to the old baseball. Maybe we'll start seeing more line drive hitters, more lineups with you have a leadoff guy and a number 2 hitter that are leadoff and number 2. Not these guys are. It became the old American League Baseball. One base at a time. That's going to be a pass ball on d'Arnaud there.
Nelson goes down to second.
You know, one base at a time. That was when I played in the 70s and in the 60s. All the National Leaguers said, actually, that's probably going to be a wild pitch. But d'Arnaud was a little bit lazy there, loose.
And they do call it a pass ball.
The American League would play one base at a time, look for a 3-run home run. National League had speed, hitting and running, and maybe we'll get back to that.
Well, what it's also done, that's the one side of it. The other side of it is, as Maben flails at that breaking ball, is it's made the true power guys that much more valuable because there's so many fewer of them. I mean, the Giancarlo Stantons become that much more important. The guy who can hit 35, 40 home runs a year because there just aren't as many of them. And Maben goes around on that one. It's 1-2.
I mean, it's an exciting brand of baseball when you have speed and guys that can steal bases and hit and run. You do the little things, and these guys are all hitting home runs, and it just got very boring for me in the 90s in particular.
1-2, low and away.
And the only thing that brought it back unfortunately was the home run race with McGuire and Sosa. And can you imagine someone hitting 70 home runs and not winning a home run title? And that's what I think re-energized the fans to come back after that strike. Was it 94, the World Series strike, Gary?
Right. Yeah, but that was fool's gold, and it's, obviously put a crimp in the game. Everybody knows that now. Now the question is how the game readjusts, because at the same time that all that was going on, a lot of the better youth baseball players were funneled into pitching because there was such a dearth of pitching. So now you see all these kids with these great power arms, these 6'5", 6'6" behemoths who may well have been the power hitters in a different generation, all of whom have been funneled to the mound, and the game is getting a little more balanced that way, or tipped in the balance.
I always felt if you're a pitcher, your whole career relies on your arm, and you hurt your arm, you could be finished. So I'd rather be an everyday player.
Three 2 to Maben, and he struck him out with the cutter. So nice recovery by Torres after a rough beginning to the inning. Seth Smith, the third San Diego home run, makes it 5-0 after 6. Just 11 months ago. He's now been in 2 games. He's pitched an inning the first time, 2 innings the second time down in the Gulf Coast League. Trying to make a rather speedy return from Tommy John surgery and hopes to pitch by the end of the year in the major league.
I wish Jeremy all the good luck and good fortune. He is such a wonderful man.
David Wright leads off in the 7th against Tyson Ross, who has shut the Mets out on 2 hits over the first 6. Buddy Carlisle goes to work now in the Mets bullpen. David tonight is lined to third and struck out 0 for 2. Duda and d'Arnaud to follow. Another foul ball. 0-2. Well, in the National League East tonight, the Phillies got 7 strong innings out of Cole Hamels and a 2-run homer from Jimmy Rollins to beat the Braves 2-1. Meanwhile, Washington got 3 RBIs apiece from Ryan Zimmerman and Wilson Ramos and beat Milwaukee 8-3. Wright is down swinging for the first out. So that pulls the Nats back into a virtual tie with the Braves for first place in the East. Lucas Duda coming up. Let's check in with Kevin. Kev?
Well, Gary, Duda hasn't had a great night tonight, but neither have any of the Mets. But one thing we've seen is since Ike Davis was traded, clearly there's been an uptick in performance, and you could go down the categories, a lot of them. And I think there's a lot of things you could point to. Is it confidence? Maybe. Is it playing every day? Certainly that would help. Lamar Johnson, the hitting coach, had those theories, but also another one of his own. He thought, and this is a guy that's seen Lucas for a long time now in the Mets minor league system. He said the one thing that I noticed is, and there he's got a base hit through the shift, so that it worked, and Lamar is happy. He said, you know, I think that Lucas, he tries so hard to do well that he would take at bats into one another. What do I mean by that? Well, he would come in and maybe a pitcher would give him out with a pitch that was low and away. And so then the next at bat, he was so determined not to get out by that same pitch or that same location that he would kind of lose focus of his plan, lose focus of what the pitcher was trying to do. So it was really trying to make him take each individual at bat. I think he's done a good job of that since he got this starting job.
Well, the results are certainly there. first month after Duda won that job and Ike Davis was traded away, he continued to meander. But the 6 weeks since, I think he's really taken another step forward.
Well, I think there was a lot of kinks he had to get out of. A lot of, Lucas is a sponge, and I always felt that he was too mechanical up there, thinking too much. And sometimes you just got to go up there and you got to just say, you know what, I'm throwing everything into the wind. I'm just going to get up there, see the ball, and hit it, and react. That's what got you here. He's been much more aggressive at the plate. I used to cringe all the time when he'd take 2-0, 1-0, 3-1. So the results are there. Very quietly, he's having himself a very nice year, Lucas.
First action in the Padre bullpen. Blaine Boyer, the right-hander. Alex Torres, the left-hander. Ross over 90 pitches for the night. Darno flails at the slider. It's 5 strikeouts for Ross. And the second out of this inning.
Well, let's see this. Ross is he's just one of these comfortable 0 for 4s. That ball just broke down. He swung right through it.
So 2 out now. Neuenhuis, who's hit the ball hard twice tonight with no result. Flied out to center, lined out to right. Well, unless the Mets rally, the personal string of team success for Kirk Neuenhuis might come to an end.
And a 4-game winning streak.
Mets are 10-0 this year when Neuenhuis starts. But behind tonight. And Ross misses away. 2-0.
Well, with Cole Hamels and now Cliff Lee back for Philadelphia, I'm not saying they're contenders, but they're really going to be a team that's going to have a lot to say, along with the Mets. The Mets, I'd by no stretch of the imagination out of it, but they're going to be tough teams you're not going to want to play in September.
I wonder whether Cliff Lee is going to be a Philly for much longer.
It's true.
He's supposed to rejoin their rotation Monday, but if he looks good, it's going to be hard to believe that the Phillies aren't going to trade him and get as much as they can. Hamels, though, I'm sure they'll hang on to. I mean, that's the one relatively youthful player that they can build around. 3-1 now to Neuenhuis. It's going to be fascinating to watch what the Phillies do going forward. Whether they clean house and
I think they
start moving all those veteran players out. I mean, they're stuck with Ryan Howard for several more years with huge money and diminishing results. Well, that's a tough nut. Here's ball 4, and Neuenhuis, I think that's ball 4. Yep, it is, and he's on. I'm sure Kirk realized it was ball 4. So the Mets have 2 men on, and here comes Darren Balsley, the pitching coach, out to talk to Ross before he works to Juan Lagares. New York Mets baseball is brought to you by your local Tri-State Kia retailers. Visit TriStateKiaDealers.com to learn more.
Well, the trouble with the Phillies is that you've had a team that had a great run, and you had a city that was in love with their players. All their everyday players, Chooch, Utley, Ryan Howard. You know, there was a genuine love affair, and when it takes a lot of guts to cut the string.
You can't be sentimental, though, if you're the general manager.
I agree.
You've got to be forward-looking and say, hey, these guys performed well for us. It's time to move on. And the problem is that all those guys have gotten old together.
Yes. Well, usually when you come up together, you get old together.
So now 2 out and 2 on. Mets have a runner in scoring position for the first time tonight. That's how dominant Tyson Ross has been. The Mets have had just 3 hits. He's walked 3, struck out 5. And now Rivera needs a conversation. Of course, it's the first time they've had a runner at second. They haven't had to go to multiple signs all night.
Well, that walk was a 5-0 lead and 2 outs, runner on first, and he walks Neuenhuis on a slider. I'm sorry, you got 8 gloves out there. If Neuenhuis goes deep, it's 5-2. Next batter, he might hit it at someone.
Lagares has struck out and bounced into a double play, 0 for 2. And he takes a first pitch slider for a strike. Ruben Tejada would be next.
Now Lagares shoots one the other way, a base hit. Duda to third. He'll be held up there as Venable heaves it in. Well wide, barehanded by Rivera 20 feet up the line. But Tim Tuffle taking no chances, down by 5 runs. And now the Mets have the bases loaded.
Nice hitting by Lagares. Right down the middle, goes the other way with a beautiful line drive. Lagares stays very level on the pitch, belt high and up. And nice play by Rivera there. Not a good throw by Venable.
So now Ruben Tejada with a chance to do some damage. Bases loaded, 2 out.
Ruben playing to the opposite field, straight up on the infield, and opposite field in the outfield. Absolutely.
Tejada 0 for 2 tonight. Fouled out to right, grounded out to short. The first pitch slider hasn't flailed him. On a team that has struggled with the bases loaded this year, it's worth noting that Tejada is 2 for 3 with the bases full this year. Eric Campbell out on deck to pinch hit. If Tejada can keep it going here.
See, I just don't like that first swing by Tejada. He's not a home run hitter. What's he going to do? Hit a grand slam? Maybe he will. Keep the rally going with a base hit.
He's able to lay off that slider. Scuccione says no swing, 1-1. Tyson Ross over 100 pitches now. It's not come quite as easily here the last couple of innings for him. And the Mets hoping to crack through. Bases loaded, 2 out. And Tejada tries to hold. That time he went around. And it's 1-2.
Well, I told you, Gare, early in the game, the right-handers, that gets the crowd up and roaring here.
Now it's Abreu, not Campbell, out on deck, but right now it's in the hands of Tejada.
This man throws right-handers predominantly away, and that has got to be your approach.
One-two coming, and Ruben goes down swinging, inning over. 3 strikeouts in the inning for Ross, and the Mets leave him loaded. Stretch time in San Diego, 5-0 Padres. Shirt Friday when the Mets take on the Giants at 7:10. All fans in attendance will receive a Mets t-shirt courtesy of Dunkin' Donuts. For tickets, visit Mets.com/free shirt Fridays. Around the Majors brought to you by Hyundai. Visit myhyundai.com today. The Nats knocked out Matt Garza with 5 in the first, beat the Brewers 8-3. Jordy Mercer RBI double, bottom of the 11th. Pirates beat the Rockies again 3-2. And a great pitcher's duel in Anaheim. The Mariners have 2 hits. The Angels have 1. Felix Hernandez against Garrett Richards. 1-0 Mariners in the 6th. Buddy Carlisle on to pitch for the Mets in the home 7th. Rene Rivera, first man up against him, fouls it back, 0-1. Tyson Ross, 7 scoreless innings, gets a handshake from his manager Bud Black. Ross back from the All-Star game and in the groove. Rivera had a base hit against Dylan G in the 3rd, 1 for 2 on the night, and he takes a strike. 0-2. Buddy Carlisle pitched in the last game before the All-Star break, gave the Mets a scoreless inning. Jake Gobert has come out on deck to pinch hit for Ross.
Well, that win puts the Pirates now 2.5 behind the Brewers. Cardinals won today, so they're back in a tie. The Cardinals may take the percentage point lead at first place.
Pirates tie the Reds for 3rd place because the Reds lost to the Yankees again today. Josh Edgin up in the bullpen. So you got 4 teams within 2.5 games in that NL Central. Meanwhile, at the top of the NL East, Atlanta and Washington in a virtual tie. And the Mets, if they don't rally in this game, will stay 7 games behind. Marlins lost tonight to the Giants. They've lost 6 straight.
Marlins are on a fade. They did not look impressive in that 3-game series against the Metsies at home before the break.
Stanton keeps hitting monstrous home runs. He had another one today, but in a losing cause. One-two to Rivera, and that's away. Well, we're seeing the emergence of a star pitcher. Took him a while. A couple of years in Oakland where he didn't fare very well. Started to turn it around last year here in San Diego, and this year he's just been spectacular. Lagares stands under the fly ball and has it for the first out.
He's one of those guys too, Gary. We've talked about his motion. He's effortless with his motion. He's a guy that's not putting a lot of energy into every pitch. Not a lot of stress on the shoulders or elbows. Beautiful performance.
He cooled down a hot team tonight. Mets have been scoring at a 5.5 run per game clip over this recent hot streak, and he's held the Mets without a run tonight. Jake Gobert started at first base last night, went 0 for 3 and a walk. Gets the pinch hitting assignment here against Carlisle and takes a knee-high strike. The Cleveland Indians are on the verge of sweeping a day-night doubleheader from Detroit. The Indians won last night, and they might beat Detroit twice today, which will get them within 4.5 games of the lead. It looked like the Tigers had blown that division away before the All-Star break, but not so fast. Cleveland's up 5-2 in the bottom of the 9th in the nightcap. Strike 3 call. Gobert caught looking. It's 10 strikeouts tonight for Met pitching. 2 out and nobody on. New York Mets baseball is brought to you by NYU Langone Medical Center, made for New York. Now Alexi Amarista at the top of the batting order. Amarista 1 for 3 tonight. Singleton scored back in the 3rd. quickly 0-2 to Amarista. One and 2 to Amarista.
Amarista is not a very big guy. He's got an idea up there at the plate. He handles the bat well. Little table setter.
Padres have hit 3 home runs tonight. They had not hit a home run in a week since Amarista hit one 8 days ago. He's hit 3 home runs this year. Came over from the Angels in the deal for Ernesto Frieri a couple of years ago. Frieri's now moved on to Pittsburgh. The Angels, though, have their bullpen pretty set now with the acquisition of Houston Street last night. That's up the middle. Tejada to his left. A nice spin around. One hopper. Got him! Tremendous play by Ruben Tejada. Bud Black's going to come out, and he might challenge. So hold your horses. Nice pickup by Duda. And they got him.
They sure did.
A tremendous play by Tejada. And I don't think Bud Black's going to bother challenging this.
No, he's out, and a nice scoop by Lucas. That's the in-between hop.
And Black says no challenge. Inning over. Terrific play on both ends. Tejada and Duda get Buddy Carlisle through the bottom of the 7th. 5-0 San Diego. Brought to you by the 2014 Mazda 3 with seamless connectivity.
Well, nice play all the way around. Last night, Tejada made a terrific play in the hole towards third base with a strong throw to first. Now up the middle.
And he had to really hurry to get a very speedy guy in Amarista, and he did. Pick up by Duda at the other end. Now Alex Torres, the left-hander, will come out of the San Diego bullpen as we go to the 8th.
And there are his numbers.
A lot of kids want to know.
Having himself a terrific year, 36 2/3. And most important for left-handers, look at him against lefties. He gets lefties out. There's a lot of left-hand pitchers that can't get lefties out. Torres is not one of them.
Chris Young will be the pinch hitter for the Mets, leading off in the 8th inning. Young pitch hit last night and struck out. It'll be Young, then Granderson and Murphy as the Mets try and break through against the San Diego bullpen after failing to do so for 7 innings against Tyson Ross. And Torres sails his first pitch to the backstop. Torres pitched last night. For 2/3 of an inning, got 2 fly ball outs. And he misses away to Young, 2-0. So Tyson Ross, 7 innings, no runs, 4 hits, 3 walks, 6 strikeouts. The 11th time in 21 starts that he's gone at least 6 and allowed either no runs or 1 earned run.
Oh, good screwball change right there. That is a screwball, almost like. Very nice.
Torres wearing that unique protective cap, and so far alone in baseball among pitchers in wearing it. Kind of reminiscent of the batting helmet that David Wright donned after being hit in the head by Matt Cain.
The great Gazoo.
Didn't wear it for long. 2-2 coming. And Young strikes out. 1 down in the 8th.
Fastball away upstairs.
So 1 out and nobody on. Now Curtis Granderson, who's 1 for 3 tonight. Cleveland has won that second game in Detroit, so the Indians sweep the doubleheader. They've won 3 in a row from the Tigers in that series, and they're only 4.5 back. Here's a strike. Chris Dickerson hit 2 home runs in that game for Cleveland, recent acquisition. Padre bullpen has been among the best in baseball this year, but now a little different look with their former closer Houston Street having moved on to Anaheim.
There's a look.
Kevin Quackenbush up in the bullpen.
By the way, Quackenbush has terrific stuff. He worked an inning last night.
For the moment, Joaquin Benoit takes over as the Padres closer, but they've got a number of guys who could fill that role eventually. 2-2 to Granderson. The haul that the Padres got back for Houston Street appears to be very impressive, led by second baseman Taylor Lindsay, who was rated as the Angels' #1 prospect. He's in AAA. And, you know, with the issues that the Padres have had on their infield, Lindsay might be in the big leagues before long. But the Angels gave up their #1, #2, #4, and #8 prospects.
Well,
to get Houston Street.
They want to win, don't they?
And they have been winning. 21 games over 500 going into tonight. Granderson went around, strike 3. The back-to-back strikeouts for Alex Torres to start the 8th.
Slider can't hold up. What an expression on the face of Granderson right there. He has some terrific expressions.
So here's Murphy, who's grounded out 3 times tonight. 0 for his last 13 now. Ball strike.
Torres has got some good stuff. Good hard sinker. Good slider. Good turnover change or screwball.
More good stuff on display here tomorrow. Zach Wheeler will be on the mound for the Mets, looking to pick up where he left off in the first half. And then the Mets expect to have John Neese back on the mound in Seattle on Monday night. 2-2. The Mets will miss Felix Hernandez in the series in Seattle. They'll also miss the former Met Chris Young, who's had a remarkable comeback season for the Mariners.
There's the big one right there. Neese getting the start up in Seattle.
Full count to Murphy. The plan is for Neese to go Monday night. Jacob deGrom Tuesday night, and then Bartolo Colon Wednesday afternoon.
So DeGrom's going to have quite a little spell, a layoff.
Full count to Murphy with Wright on deck.
And Murph cracks one to deep right field. Back goes Venable near the wall, and he makes the catch. Then he drops it. And Murphy will cruise into second base. Venable had it, but I think when he hit the fence, it went off the wall, and he dropped the ball.
He did catch it, and I think the collision with the wall knocked it loose. Oh, it's on the heel.
Yeah.
Nope, he dropped it prior.
Never quite had it. So Venable almost making a stunning catch on Murphy, just got it off the heel.
Fastball in, Murph turns on it. He had it, he just got it on the heel. Probably knew that fence was right nearby.
24th double of the year for Murphy. That'll knock Torres out of the game. They'll bring in a right-hander to face David Wright. Call to the bullpen brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. America runs on Dunkin'. Kevin Quackenbush coming on for San Diego. 5-0 Padres in the 8th. We'll be right back. Out here in the top of the 8th.
Threw an inning last night, gave up a base hit when a strikeout, a scoreless inning. He throws hard, got a slider and a split finger, and he is having a terrific year.
29th outing for Quackenbush. He comes on to face David Wright, who's 0 for 3 tonight. David lined out and struck out twice against Tyson Ross. Murphy at second and 2 down. And Wright lifts one to right. Venable retreating. They'll have this one lined up. That retires the side. Quackenbush throws one pitch, gets the 3rd out. That takes us to the bottom of the 8th in San Diego. Still 5-0 Padres. to you by Honda. Start something special with a great deal on a Honda now at your Honda dealer. Padres with 3 home runs tonight off Dylan G, and that's been plenty. 2 off G and 1 off Carlos Torres. In any event, you get the idea. Josh Edgin will come on to pitch in the bottom of the 8th.
Well, a game where Terry can kind of get his bullpen back, get the kinks out. All 4 days off of the All-Star break. This is the 8 days that since Edgin has pitched. So get them back in a groove here. Get them some work. Edgin had a very nice first half.
Well, part of a totally revamped Mets bullpen that has changed the program from a liability to an asset. Chase Headley will lead off against Edgin in the 8th inning. Carlos Torres worked an inning in relief, allowed a home run to Seth Smith. Buddy Carlisle worked a 1-2-3 7th. And now Collins sends Edgin out to pitch the 8th. Headley tonight 1 for 3, singled in a run in the 3rd, and a second run scored on the same play when Kirk Neuenhuis threw to an unoccupied third base, and the ball went into the Mets dugout. Headley batting right-handed for the first time tonight. 212 hitter from the right side, 230 from the left side. Seth Smith on deck. He has Monty Grandal behind him. The Padres 5 runs, 7 hits. The Mets no runs and 5 hits. And that one sails high, 2-0. Meanwhile, up the coast in Anaheim, the pitchers' duel continues between Felix Hernandez and Garrett Richards. 1-0 Mariners in the bottom of the 7th. There have been only 3 hits in that game. So as advertised. Ripped down the left field side. Neuenhuis slides. Can't get it cleanly, and Headley races into second and just beats the tag. Headley had broken it down, and Neuenhuis nearly threw him out.
I don't know what Headley's thinking here. Watch, the Neuenhuis just kind of doesn't quite get it the first time, second time. I tell you what, if he picks it cleanly, he throws Headley out, and this is just beat the tag.
Well, Headley had slowed up, and then he had to throw it back into gear to avoid being embarrassed here.
Just beat it. Umpire right on top of it. Eric Cooper.
So Headley with his second hit of the night, a leadoff double. Well, I'm sure Headley saw last night when Neuenhuis gunned down Amarista at second base. He was almost victimized himself. Here's Seth Smith, and he rockets one to center field deep. Lagares back near the wall, and he makes the catch. Unbelievable. He's there every time. Headley tags and goes to third, where extra base hits go to die.
Well, he's fearless. He doesn't Cadillac it, Gary. He's not a timer. He gets to the wall. He's fearless. He's not afraid of the wall. I haven't seen anybody play center field like Juan in a long time. In every aspect. And nice bit of base running by Headley here. Sit there and wait. He scores, but he doesn't make the play. Tags up the other way around. He makes the catch. Good base running.
Infield in for Grandal with a runner at third and 1 out. Grandal opened the scoring tonight with an enormous home run to right center. It's also single, 2 for 3. So the Padres, the weakest offensive team in the major leagues, have scored 9 runs in 2 games in this series and threatening for more here.
Infield in, as you see, as Gary mentioned.
Grandal takes a slider for a strike. 1-1. Well, Venable waits on deck. And now Edgin needing a strikeout gets ahead 1-2. Rockies have tied up that game with Seattle 1-1 bottom of the 7th, and now threatening to take the lead against Felix Hernandez. First and third, nobody out. Here's the 1-2. And the slider knocked down by d'Arnaud. 2-2.
Beautifully blocked by d'Arnaud. Very nicely done.
Headley at third and 1 out. 2-2 coming to Grandal.
And that one gets away from d'Arnaud. And Headley comes home to score. 6-0 San Diego.
And that's going to be a pass ball, I believe, right there.
Second pass ball of the game for d'Arnaud.
Slider. And he just didn't anticipate. We see that from d'Arnaud late in the games, Garrett.
Well, you know what it is, Keith. He's a great framer of pitches, but sometimes the framing takes precedence over the catching. You know, he's trying to turn that ball in to get a strike out of it, but because of that, it reduces the margin for error of actually catching the ball, and that cost him. 3-2 to Grandal with 1 out and nobody on. And Edgin strikes him out for the second out of the inning. That's 11 strikeouts for Met pitchers tonight.
Good slider here from Edgin. Good down break. Nice pitch.
Now we're going to pinch hitter Chris Denorfia will bat for Will Venable. So a right-handed bat up there. And Denorfia his first at bat since the All-Star break. Denorfia basically a platoon player. A lot of conversation about him being available in trade at the deadline, and this might be a showcase at bat as much as anything. Terry Collins is going to come out and see if he's going to bring in a right-hander. It's a 6-0 game with 2 out at the bottom of the 8th. And believe it or not, he's going to bring Vic Black into the game.
Give him some work? I don't know, Gary. I'm at a loss for all this stuff.
Call to the bullpen brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. America runs on Dunkin'. 6-0 Padres in the bottom of the 8th. We'll be right back. That Terry Collins thinking here is that Big Black hasn't pitched in a week, so you get him some work.
Right, and it's the All-Star break. It's what, it's been 6 days for Black. It's a non-pressure situation, other than that he's going to, if he gets the out, he's going to help his bullpen mate Josh Edgin. If he gets the out, it's an unearned run to Edgin. If he's at a base hit, it's going to be an earned run to Edgin. So he's coming in here with He's going to try to help his buddy here. And it's a good chance to get the kinks out. So here we are moving forward into the second half.
So Black comes in to face Chris Denorfia with 2 out and nobody on.
Well, with Vic Black, he's got tremendous stuff. And for all you Met fans that remember the man that was traded for me, Neil Allen, much out of the same mold as Neil. You remember, Neil threw very hard, had a great curveball, over the top curve, just like Black. Same kind of stuff, power stuff.
That may well be, but it was still a good trade.
Oh, well, sure. Thank you. It worked out good for me.
Worked out well for you, and then it worked out well for Gary Carter.
Yep.
Because he hit the game-winning home run on opening day against Neil Allen.
That's right. 85.
85. First game as a Met.
Against the Cardinals. Cold day as usual.
Well, April in New York. Denorfia lifts one to center. Can of corn for Lagares this time. And that retires the side. So it is an unearned run against Edgin.
Mets will come up in the ninth, try to avoid the shutout.
Down 6-0. Chris Denorfia, who pinch hit, stays in the game in right field, and one-time Met Blaine Boyer will try and close it out for San Diego.
Well, he's just been a recent call-up, 11 games. So far, so good. Can't complain about those numbers.
Now, Boyer's last big league experience before this year was with the Mets early in the 2011 season. He pitched in 5 games. He was awful, and he has not been back to the big leagues until just these last couple of weeks. Tim Stauffer will stay busy in the San Diego bullpen. Lucas Duda leads off in the 9th. Mets have been shut out 7 times this year, trying to avoid an 8th tonight.
Big shift again for Lucas.
Boyer pours one in for a strike. Travis d'Arnaud on deck. And then Kirk Neuenhuis in the 9th. That's been held to just 5 hits tonight. Tyson Ross went the first 7, and he was tremendous. Into the shift. Chris Nelson on the outfield grass. 1 out.
Friar Tuck.
I didn't know he was Tuck.
Be careful with it when Friar Tuck has the stave.
Dangerous with that thing.
He took down Robin Hood.
Here's Darno, 1 for 3, an infield single in the 5th inning. He takes a slider for a strike. Neuenhuis waits on deck. Seems that everybody who joins this San Diego bullpen finds success. Even Boyer, who had struggled so mightily. And that one nails Rene Rivera.
Good cut by Darno on that fastball. I got him.
Right off the arm, into the biceps, up to the mask. It was like a triple header. Oh, 2 to Darno. He lifts one foul. Coming up next on Pix 11, it's First Family on SNY. It's WB Mason post game live. And we'll be with you on SNY tomorrow afternoon with the final game of this series. 4 o'clock start New York time with Zach Wheeler pitching for the Mets. And the Mets will get their first look at the Cuban right-hander Odrisamer Despaigne, who will be making his 5th major league start, and he's been extremely good so far.
I am looking very much forward to watching him pitch. He's not a youngster.
One-two to Darno. Hit sharply. Nelson has it go right under his backhand, and Darno is aboard. And that ball hit very sharply, but a play that Nelson certainly should have made.
We'll see how they roll this here. And I tell you what, impressive 2-strike hitting from Darno again. It looks like Darno is becoming the best 2-strike hitter on the team I've seen with him coming on here.
It'll be an error charge to Nelson. First error of the game for either side. Mets have a 1-out base runner for Neuenhuis, who's 0 for 2 and a walk tonight. Has hit the ball solidly. And Kirk takes a strike. King Felix got out of that jam in the bottom of the 7th, by the way.
First and third, nobody out?
First and third, nobody out. After a run was in, it's a 1-1 game in the top of the 8th now.
Wow.
Garrett Richards still in for the Angels. That's why they call him the King.
Yep.
The rest of us, merely his subjects. No reason to hold Darno here.
No, absolutely not.
One and two to Neuenhuis with Juan Lagares on deck. The game in Oakland has gone to the 7th inning. Baltimore 7, Oakland 4. After the A's rallied to win last night. Matchup with division leaders. Oakland trying to hold off the Angels. Those are the teams with the 2 best records in baseball. Check swing. He went around, strike 3. So Neuenhuis out on strikes for the 2nd out of the night. Ding.
2 outs.
It's the best way to start your weekday. Join Suki, Corey, and the gang on the Pix 11 Morning News, where every story hits home. I think we got that synced up this time.
Yes.
Mets are down to their final out. Juan Lagares 1 for 3 tonight. Lagares shot a base hit into right field his last time up. Mets loaded the bases with 2 out of the 7th. That was their best chance of the night, but Tyson Ross struck out Ruben Tejada to get out of that jam. That was the end of Ross's night, and he's 1 out away from his 8th win of the year. Cano takes off. He'll take second on defensive indifference, but now the Mets are down to their final strike.
I think that Lagares right there saw Darno stealing and took on purpose. You know what? 6-0. Swing the bat. That was a good pitch to hit.
For sure. Two. Tejada on deck. Padres looking for their 7th shutout victory of the season. 1 strike away. And Lagares lays off. 2-2. Year-old Blaine Boyer trying to close the door for the Padres and even up this series. Two to Lagares. And he bounces that slider. Full count.
Six nothing, young man.
Now the 3-2. And he struck him out to end it. Blaine Boyer strikes out Juan Lagares, and the Mets are shut out for the 8th time this year. Their 4-game winning streak comes to an end. Tyson Ross with 7 scoreless innings and 3 San Diego home runs, plenty to allow the Padres to even the series with a 6-0 win.
Well, G's second start coming off the DL and a little extra rest. Probably had too much pumped up in him. He didn't have it from the get-go. 5 innings, 4 runs. Gave up the 2 home runs that did him in. Padres jumped on him early.